It's 4 p.m., you're driving down a back road and you spot something through the trees. An old car sitting in tall grass, half swallowed by weeds and vines. The hood's rusted through, windows are gone, and it looks like it hasn't moved in 20 years. Most people wouldn't give it a second thought, but you pull over. You walk through that field. You stand there looking at this thing that's basically rotting into the ground. And instead of seeing trash, you see something worth saving. That moment, that feeling, that instinct to care about something everyone else walked away from, it tells us everything about a certain kind of mind. The people who rescue abandoned cars aren't just dragging old metal out of fields, they're showing us something deep about human nature, about the psychology of caring for lost things. Every rusted bolt they turn, every panel they cut away, every hour they spend bringing these forgotten machines back to life reveals who they are at their core. Let's start with something nobody really talks about. The people who do this work see the world differently than the rest of us. And I mean that literally. There's research on how our brains filter what we pay attention to, and it turns out we don't all notice the same stuff. You could walk past an abandoned car in a field, and your brain just files it away as nothing, as background. But someone wired for restoration, they can't not see it. Their mind catches on it immediately. It's like their attention is tuned to spot potential in places other people don't even register. And this isn't just about cars, it's how they move through everything. They're the people who see value in what's been thrown away, beauty in what's been forgotten. Think about what it actually takes to rescue one of these things. You're not starting with a car that needs some work. You're starting with something nature is actively destroying. Birds have been nesting in the engine for years. Rust has eaten through metal that was solid when your parents were young. The whole thing might be stuck to the ground, roots growing through the frame. This isn't a weekend project. It requires the kind of brain that can stare at what looks impossible and not walk away. You might spend a month just figuring out how to move it without it falling apart. Another 6 months tracking down whether certain parts even exist anymore. These people have something most of us don't. They're okay with not knowing if something will work. They can live in that uncertainty for years. There's also something emotional going on that's hard to put into words. When you talk to people who rescue abandoned cars, they describe feeling like the car's been waiting, like it deserves someone to care. That might sound strange, but psychologists who study how humans form attachments have found we're capable of bonding with objects the same way we bond with living things, especially when those objects seem vulnerable or left behind. The car becomes something to protect, something that needs you. It's the same instinct that makes people adopt old dogs from shelters or take in stray cats. There's this pull toward caring for things that have been abandoned. Now here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of these rescuers talk about a specific car they couldn't stop thinking about. They'd drive past it, see it sitting there, and it would stick in their mind for days, weeks, months. They'd find themselves planning how they'd move it, what they'd need to fix it, even when they had no real plan to actually do it. This isn't random. It's your brain telling you something matters to you. When a particular car gets under your skin like that, it's because saving it connects to something central about who you are. Maybe you can't stand seeing things wasted. Maybe you need to prove nothing's truly beyond saving. Whatever it is, it runs deeper than just liking cars. The actual work provides something most people don't get in their regular lives. When you're under a car that's been sitting in a barn for 15 years, draining fluids that have turned to sludge, replacing every hose and belt that's rotted away, your mind goes quiet. All the noise in your head, the stress from work, problems at home, whatever's happening in the world, it all fades out. There's just you and the problem in front of you, and your hands working toward a solution. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it flow state. It's when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that everything else disappears. And people consistently say this is when they feel most alive. Not watching TV, not on vacation, but when they're fully engaged in challenging work. Rescuing abandoned cars delivers this constantly. Think about the learning curve too. You can't do this work with basic knowledge. You need to understand how metal fails, how to tell if something's salvageable, or if it'll just crumble when you touch it. You need welding skills because you'll definitely be fabricating parts that don't exist in any catalog. You need the creativity to solve problems nobody's written a manual for. Every car teaches you something new. This constant learning keeps your mind sharp, but there's something beyond that. There's real satisfaction in getting good at something difficult. When you can look at a rusted frame and know immediately what can be saved and what needs replacing, that's not book knowledge. That's hard-won understanding you earned through experience. Let's talk about the stories for a minute. Every abandoned car has one. Someone bought it, Egan drove it, maybe loved it, then something happened. They lost their job, got sick, passed away. Life just got in the way. The car got parked and never moved again. For a lot of rescuers, there's this pull to understand that history. Who owned this? What were they like? Why did it end up here? Sometimes you find clues. Registration papers in the glove box, a child's toy in the back seat, photos tucked in the visor. These little pieces of someone's life frozen in time. It connects to something we all have. This curiosity about other people's lives and how things end up the way they do. But there's also something being said through the choice itself. We live in a world that tells us to buy new, upgrade constantly, throw away what's old or broken. Rescuing abandoned cars is basically rejecting all of that. It's saying that things have value beyond what the market decides, that something doesn't stop mattering just because it's been left behind. This reflects how these people think about worth and waste and what deserves to exist. Every car pulled from a field is proof that they believe differently than what we're all told to believe. The community around this work matters more than you'd think. People who rescue abandoned cars find each other. They share locations where vehicles are sitting. They help each other with difficult extractions, offer advice on whether something's worth saving, trade parts, and knowledge freely. These groups provide something modern life often fails to deliver: a place to belong, an identity beyond your job or where you live. You're part of something specific that most people don't understand. There's language only you and others like you speak. Knowledge passed between people who've done this work, and your standing in this world comes from your skills and dedication, not from how much money you make. Consider what this does to your sense of time. Everything around us moves fast now. Same-day delivery, instant streaming, constant updates. But you can't rush an abandoned car rescue. The work takes as long as it takes. You move at the pace the car allows, not the pace you want. And weirdly, this slowness feels good to a lot of people. It's permission to step off the treadmill, to stop hurrying for once. The car doesn't care about your schedule. It just sits there, waiting for you to do the work right. There's also something about working with decay directly. Our culture hides how things fall apart. We renovate before things get bad, replace before they break, avoid looking at deterioration. But people rescuing abandoned cars face decay every single day. They cut away rust, deal with rot, see exactly how things break down when left alone. This puts them face to face with something the rest of us avoid. Things fall apart, but they can also be rebuilt. That cycle becomes familiar, maybe even comforting. It's honest in a way most of life isn't. Many rescuers describe the moment an abandoned engine starts for the first time in years like it's almost spiritual. They talk about bringing something dead back to life, about hearing it breathe again. This kind of language shows how much meaning gets wrapped up in this work. In a world where a lot of people struggle to find purpose, rescuing an abandoned car provides something concrete. You took what everyone said was finished and made it run. That's real. You can point to it, before and after, dead and alive. You made that happen. The physical side of it can't be ignored either. Most people work jobs where nothing is physical anymore. You sit at a desk, you're in meetings, you manage information. But dragging a car out of the woods where it's been sinking into the ground for 2 decades, that's undeniably physical. You feel it in your back, your shoulders, your hands, and there's something deeply satisfying about that kind of tired. It's proof you did something real. The soreness in your muscles confirms the work happened. We evolved doing physical labor with tangible results. Going back to that feels right in a way that's hard to explain. Here's something curious. The harder the rescue, the more people end up caring about the car. An easy project doesn't create the same bond, but when you've spent months just getting something movable, when you've solved 100 problems nobody could have prepared you for, you develop a relationship with it. There's research on this, actually. We value things more when we've struggled for them. The difficulty creates attachment. The car stops being just a car. It becomes tied to all that effort, all those hours, all those moments when you almost gave up but didn't. There's detective work involved too that hooks a certain kind of mind. Abandoned cars rarely come with history. You have to figure out what it is from VIN numbers that are half rusted away. You decode manufacturing stamps, track down what's original versus what got swapped in over the years. Every answer you find leads to new questions. What engine did this have? When was it built? How did it end up here? The car reveals itself slowly through this investigation. You're uncovering a past from physical evidence alone. The control aspect provides something people desperately need. Life feels chaotic most of the time. Random events, forces you can't influence, constant uncertainty about the future. But with an abandoned car rescue, you control everything. You decide if it's worth saving, you plan the extraction, you determine what stays and what goes. Every single choice is yours. Studies show pretty clearly that feeling control over your environment matters hugely for mental health and satisfaction. These projects offer complete autonomy in a world where most of us feel powerless most of the time. Standing back after months of work and seeing something that was dead actually run again must feel incredible. All those hours when nothing seemed to be working, all the problems that looked unsolvable, all the times you questioned why you were even doing this, transformed into something that moves under its own power. Research on achievement shows that difficulty actually makes success feel better. Easy wins ring hollow. The hard ones echo through your whole life. But here's what happens next that's interesting. Well, once the rescue's done, once the car is saved and running, a lot of people feel strangely empty. The work gave them purpose every day. Completion brings pride, sure, but it also brings loss. This is why most rescuers never stop at one car. They're not building a collection of finished vehicles, they're seeking the process itself. The next abandoned car provides new purpose, new challenges, new meaning. It's not about the end result. It's about having work that matters, that engages every part of who you are, that gives you a reason to wake up and keep going. The people who rescue abandoned cars teach us something important about being human. They show us that meaning lives in caring for what others have given up on, that seeing potential in forgotten things changes how we move through the world, that working with our hands on real problems feeds something essential we didn't even know was hungry. They remind us that patience still matters, that dedication still counts, even when everything around us is optimized for speed. Next time you see an old car sitting in a field, slowly disappearing into the earth, and remember someone might look at that and see something worth saving. Someone might spend years of their life giving it another chance. That's not just about the car. That's a human story about what it means to care when no one else does.